Hello, welcome to Algebra 2 channel, chapter 4.3 again. New learning target. This learning target is I can multiply rational expressions. So last lesson we learned how to write an equivalent expression and how to state the domain and simplify it. So we're going to use the same practices, but we're going to apply it to multiplication. So I have an example here. So the first step in our success criteria is to factor completely, just like what we did before. So step 1, factor completely. Okay, go ahead, pause the video, factor everything you see here. Each numerator and each denominator, factor that out. So this one is a difference of squares right here. So this ends up being x times x, so gives you that x squared, and then square root of 16 is 4, so that's going to be plus 4 minus 4 there. Can't factor that down, so I'm just going to simply bring it down. And then for this one, looking for the factors of negative 90 that add to positive 1. So I'm going to break up that x times x. Then the factors of negative 90 that add to positive 1, that would be negative 9 times positive 10. And then same thing down here. Put your x times x, and then factors of 40 that add to positive 14. That would be 4 times 10. 4 times 10 is 40. 4 plus 10 is 14. I'm going to check it over, see if I can factor anything further. I cannot, so step 1 is done. I am factored completely. Now I'm going to state the domain. So this is the restrictions. What would make the denominator 0? What could we plug in for x that would make the denominator 0? So I'm going to go through and look at each part of the denominator. So I'm going to start here at x minus 9. So x cannot be positive 9, because if I put in a 9 there, 9 minus 9 is 0. X cannot be negative 4. X cannot be negative 10. There's my domain. Now, I am going to simplify. What can cancel out? Get my red pen here. So I can look diagonally, or I can look up and down. Remember on the last lesson, we were looking at what was the same top and bottom. But now, since we're multiplying, you can go top and bottom, or you can go diagonal. Okay? So diagonally, I see that these x plus 4s can cancel out. And diagonally, I see that these x minus 9s can cancel out. And then up and down, I see that these x plus 10s cancel out. Up and down there. So the only thing that's left here is x minus 4. So that is my answer. But let's write in this step 4 here. Because everything canceled out, I had nothing left to multiply this x minus 4, but really anything divided by itself all cancels down to 1. So that would be like saying x minus 4 times 1 here. So my answer is x minus 4 for all x cannot be 9, negative 4, negative 10. All right, let's try another one. Okay, Pause the video, try it on your own. So remember, you need to factor completely first. So I'm going to look at this. Now this looks kind of weird. It's not written as a rational expression. It's not written as a fraction. But I can write it as a fraction by putting it over 1. No big deal. All right. Now it's a fraction. Now I'm going to go ahead and factor all that I can. 5a. Can't do anything with that. 5a plus 5. They both have a 5, so I'm going to factor out that 5. And I'm left with a plus 1 there. This one I can take out a 10. Again, a plus 1 over 1. Okay. Factored as much as I can. Now I'm going to state the domain. So a cannot be -1. That's a domain. Now I'm going to simplify. I can simplify across diagonally here. And then I can also simplify up and down these 5s. These cancel out as well. So I'm left over with this a, this 10, and this 1. So let's review. What did we do? We factored completely. We found the domain. We simplified. Now our last step of our success criteria is to multiply. So I'm going to multiply straight across. So I have a times 10 gives me 10a. Those all canceled out. Times 1 is 1. Anything divided by 1 is itself. So you can put this over 1, but you don't need to. And that is the answer. All right, let's try another one. Go ahead and try that one. All right, so we're going to factor completely first. So I'm going to start up here. I can factor out an x. I'm left with x minus 5 there. Bottom, I can take out an x. They both have an x again, just like this top one both had an x. We took out an x. Left with x minus 3. These are good. Just copy them down. They can't be factored any further. All right, step 1 is done. Factor completely. Okay, now we're going to find the domain. So I'm going to look at my denominator, look at each part. What could make this denominator 0? So I just have a single x there. So if you replace this x with 0, that gives you the denominator of 0. So x cannot be 0. If I plug in a 3 here, that's 3 minus 3, that's a 0. So it can't be 3. And then also it can't be 5. All right, so domain is done. Now I'm going to simplify. Remember, you can simplify diagonally or up and down. Okay. Now I'm left with multiplying. So nothing's left up here. So you can consider that to be a 1. 1 times this is just x plus 3 there. And then everything canceled out here besides this, so just x minus 3. Throw in your domain, and that is your answer. One more. Let's try one more. Go ahead and try this one on your own. Pause the video and try it. So you're going to factor completely first. So I can take out a 5. Both of these terms are divisible by 5. Factor out that 5. You're left with y minus 4. Okay. On the bottom, I can take out a 3. So it leaves me with 3 times y plus 5. Over here to take out a 7. And on the bottom, you can take out a 10. All right. Now I'm going to find the domain. I'm going to look at the denominator. And I see that y cannot be -5 or -4. And I'll simplify it down. Also, you could do the 5 and the 10 here. So I can reduce that, becomes a 1. That becomes a 2 there. Let me see. Those have different signs, so I can't cancel those out. 3 and 7 can't cancel out. 7 and 2 can't reduce at all either. So this is what I'm left with. Y minus 4 times 7. Okay, and then 3 times 2 is 6, and then that y plus 4. And there you have it.